Hello, and welcome back to Tales Untold. I'm Wyatt,
I'm Erica.
and today we are going to look at time travel and how we think it would work and stuff like that if it existed. And then we are also going to kind of explore through time travel movies. Now, this was a team effort idea, and do you have anything you would like to start us off with?
So there's a movie called The Butterfly Effect that I always confuse with another movie. They're both time related. But one of them is with Ashton Kutcher, and they don't have anything to do with each other. But I prefer the other one, A Sound of Thunder. It was actually a really cool movie. How they lived in a time where they could go back in time, and there was a certain path they could travel, and they could actually kill a dinosaur. So there were these people that were spending lots of money to have this experience, but the reason that they were okay with doing this was because that dinosaur was about to die anyway in a volcanic eruption. Have you seen this movie?
You're talking about the A Sound of Thunder one, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I have. That one was an interesting one. I'm pretty sure there was, weird, bat creatures, when they went back and realized they messed up because someone stepped on a butterfly, I think it was.
Yeah, somebody went off the path and they accidentally killed a butterfly, which is why I always think that this movie is called The Butterfly Effect, because this guy kills this seemingly, minuscule insect, insignificant, but it creates these huge waves that cause all sort of environmental changes in the future. It creates all different kinds of creatures. All kinds of stuff happens. It was really neat.
I've never heard of the Butterfly Effect movie. What is that one? Is that the one with the one that you get confused with this one?
Yeah, that one's the Ashton Kutcher one. So this one's a little more messed up than sci-fi. So he's this guy where he discovers that he can actually time travel. So all he needs to do is read his journals from when he was younger, and he gets transported back into that time as himself. So he's in his past self. And so he can manipulate things that happened back then in an attempt to save people that he cares about and to try and make the world better. But it really doesn't go well for him at any of these turns. I believe there's more than one. I have not watched the other ones. I think this one just needed to end where it was.
That's how most movies are nowadays, is that they just need to stop while they're ahead. I feel like there's so many reboots and sequels coming out nowadays.
I know, it's like people have run out of ideas.
Yeah. Let's just get this one out of the way. I'm sure everybody's heard of Back to the Future. Really great time travel movie. It's like a DeLorean. You go 88 miles per hour. And you time travel back to whatever time you set. Now, if time travel were to ever become a thing, how do you think it would, work? Do you think it would be kind of like that, or...?
Sort of. So I was looking into this because I don't think we should ever time travel for any reason. Things are the way they are. Sometimes it sucks. But honestly, you never know what you're going to end up with if you try to change it.
Yeah.
So when I was looking up real scientific studies about time, I read something interesting that scientists believe that they are actually capable of time travel. Yes. So, so they used Einstein's theory of
Relativity,
yes. Yeah. Where if you move at a certain rate, you have moved through time, essentially.
What?
Yes. So there is something called a particle accelerator, which actually exists.
I remember it was with the recent eclipse that happened back in April, I think. That was almost That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was 6 months ago. Wow.
Anyways, a bunch of scientists decided to run a particle accelerator while it happened, and there's always a chance when you use it that a black hole will open. So I remember there was a huge scare happening with that. I didn't even know that they actually exist. I've only seen it in like superhero movies and stuff.
Well, that was what this article was saying, was that scientists have been sending atoms into the future for the last decade.
What?
Yes. So the way this sounded, it wasn't far into the future. I imagine they know that it arrived at the future because, they sent it like minutes into the future and they're like, oh, look, it's not here, but now it's there minutes later. That sort of deal.
That's crazy, though.
It's scary to think that we may end up with the power to move through time. And I don't think that's a good thing.
No, because as unfortunate as it is, things happen for a reason.
Right.
And people are going to want to try and go back and stop a lot of horrible things, but it's like, what are you causing in the future?
And then you're going to have to draw that ethical line of, okay, what makes that okay, but not this? Like, that's a mess.
That too.
That sounds like a headache that I don't want anything to do with that. So I was also reading that one of the scientists said, this was quoted from him. I believe his name was Gott or something.
What?
I don't know. It was like G-O-T-T Gott. All you have to do is get on a spaceship to go 99.995% of the speed of light to get to the year 3000. But it would take you 500 years to get there.
What? How are you even supposed to go 99 point?
But I don't know.
Whatever. The speed of light.
They don't have that technology yet, I guess. But this is all for humans. 99.995% of the speed of light is, I think that would be like 170,000 miles per hour or billion miles per hour or something. Like, what?
So I just looked up the speed of light, and it says 670,616,629. I don't even know
Are
if I
we
said
sure?
that. That's miles per hour.
Per hour.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I looked up was seconds. So that 186,282 is the speed of light per second. That's insane. That's so
crazy.
far.
How do you even go that percentage of the speed of light?
Yeah, and that's what the article talked about. It talked about, like, how would you have enough supplies and fuel to get you 1,000 years into the future, even though it takes you 500 years to get there? Are you really traveling to the future if it takes you 500 years to get somewhere?
So I think that's really crazy how people can just... It doesn't make any sense, first of all. Second of all, I don't think time travel is meant to make sense. Like, I don't think anybody's going to fully understand, because it doesn't exist. And no matter... I honestly, like, I don't think it's going to exist. And if it does, like you said, it's a bad idea.
I don't want it to.
And like you said, who's to decide what's right, what should stay, and what shouldn't?
Right. Like, then there's going to be the people that are going to want to go back in time and stop Hitler. They're going to want to go back in time and stop all of these bad Antichrist people. They're going to want to stop these things. But they have created things in our life now.
So, like, yeah, exactly what you just said. Like the Titanic, it sank. Guess what? Now they have more lifeboats than they need because of that.
Yeah, safety.
So, like, if they go and stop that, it's just going to happen again with a different ship, different tragedy at some point in time.
It's going to happen anyways. So, like, I would do this. If time travel were possible, where we could go back in time, but not interact with the past at all.
That would be cool to see.
That would be amazing. Do you know how much we could learn if we could just go back in time and only observe? They don't know we're there. We're just, saying hi. And we're observing. We're seeing, like, oh, that's how they made this? That's exactly the conversation that happened in these times?
That would be really cool to see. Like, people would probably catch Jack the Ripper and a lot of the killers back then. Or I guess they wouldn't if they're only observing, but they could be like, oh.
But we would know.
Yeah.
So, like, now, in present day, we would know what happened. We would know so much.
And, like, the Zodiac, which is one of the more recenter things.
We could go to those moments that we know that happened to this person, and we could observe. I mean, that would take a serious toll on somebody, though.
Yeah.
Going back in time and watching someone being murdered and you can do absolutely nothing about it. That would be terrible.
Actually, while we're on this topic, if time travel was a thing and you could go back and observe, what moment would you observe? Like, top 3 or like...
Oh, I don't know. I've never thought of that. I would probably go to Egypt or, like, Mesopotamia.
What is a Mesopotamia?
What?
What is...
So Mesopotamia is like one of the original civilizations, and it existed over where Iran and Iraq is now in present day, and it was an advanced civilization for the time. They had moved past being hunter gatherers. They weren't migrators. They were where they were. They farmed crops. They hunted, and they had stable homes. And I find that to be really fascinating for the time that they lived in. And it's similar to Egypt for me. I've always been interested in the history of Egypt. So I think those 2 places would be really cool. Or we go back to see where Stonehenge originated and what it was used for. That would be really cool.
Stonehenge would be really cool. I know you've had an interest in that quite a bit. It is interesting. So my top 3 like events in history that I'd like to go to is I've always had a strange fascination with the Zodiac killer. So I'd probably want to go to one of the spots of murder or whatever. The reason I've always had a fascination with him is because, like, I feel like multiple people could have been involved. Like, there could have been multiple...
Copycats?
Yeah, but, like, they were all working together. Because, like, if you, like, look at everything, there's, like, writing, phone calls. Like, this guy was risky. So, like, in the 80s, people were... I'm pretty sure it was the 80s. People were usually, like, caught. And, like, with a small town like that, I feel like there'd need to be multiple people involved doing the phone calls, the writing, the killings. Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be hard for one person to get away with and maintain.
I'm not sure when fingerprinting became mainstream.
I'm not sure either.
So it looks like the first time that fingerprinting was submissible in court was back in 1910. So they've been... This is new to me. They've been looking into fingerprinting since like 1840.
Really? So I feel like if this guy left any fingerprints, I feel like he would have been caught by now.
Yeah, but I mean that doesn't mean that their technology for finding submissible fingerprints were, up to par in the 80s. I don't know that much about the Zodiac Killer, so I can't.
I know very few things, but he's always interested me. I've just never taken the time to do a deep dive on him.
Well, maybe we have to.
Yeah.
But I do remember the movie.
With Robert Downey Jr., right?
I don't know. Sure. I'm terrible with those things. I do remember that he's in it.
I think so. Hold on. I'll look it up real quick. Pretty sure there's only one. I mean, there might be, like, spin-offs, but... Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal.
I remember him being in it.
Mark Ruffalo, Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, I didn't know he was in it.
Quite a few famous people.
Well, I guess he was in it before he was Iron Man, before I knew who he was.
Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo is in it?
I guess so. I've actually...
So all the Marvel people are in it? That's insane.
Pretty much. Mysterio, Hulk, and Iron Man.
Interesting. Anybody else?
Not that I recognize. These guys just look like random people. I thought that was Johnny Depp. Gary Oldman.
He sounds familiar. I'm so terrible with famous people. I don't know most of them. 2007?
Yeah.
Wow.
Or, yeah, 2007. I thought it came out in 2008. I've never seen this, but I've been meaning to watch it.
Yeah, we'll have to do an episode on him.
Yeah. That episode will be probably very long.
Maybe if my voice comes back.
Another...
Oh yeah,
Wait.
what's another place that you want to go? Another time.
For that, wasn't there a killer that was caught because of his fingerprints in the 80s? I don't think it was Jeffrey Dahmer, but I feel like it was someone like it. I think maybe I don't know. Hold on. Alrighty, so I figured out who got caught by their fingerprint, but first of all, I just want to say Ted Bundy got caught because he was speeding and driving a stolen vehicle. Dahmer was arrested because one of his victims ran out of the apartment half cuffed and told a police officer, and the police officer went back, and Dahmer was arrested without a struggle.
Oh, it's unusual.
But the fingerprint, I don't know if you guys, or if you've heard of the Night Stalker or
No.
Richard Ramirez. Like 6 days before he got caught, there was a fingerprint that was found that led to his identification, and then a chase ensued, and as Ramirez tried to steal a car, he was surrounded by a car and beaten until police arrived. So he was caught.
Citizen's arrest.
So yeah, that's probably the first place I would go, is to see like the Zodiac or whatever.
See who it really was.
Yeah, that would be really like, I don't want to say cool, but like interesting to like see like it was really this guy all along, because like it could have been one of the suspects that got away scot-free. I mean, the Zodiac still got away scot-free.
There'd be so many cold cases that could be solved.
Yeah.
I mean, not that there would be anything you could do about it, but maybe some families could be,
Like reassured, or
yeah,
I don't know what the word is.
get some closure.
Yeah.
As terrible as it is, but like I said, I don't think time travel to the past should be ever a thing. There's just too many ways for things to go wrong.
Yeah. Like, I feel like that is what would end the world. Like, I know it sounds cool, but like that would, like, there's so many different things, butterfly effect and stuff like that.
There's so many repercussions for even the smallest of
Things, like, especially in the movie. And I know it's just a movie, but like the Sound of Thunder one, he stepped on a moth and the entire world was changed.
Where else would you like to observe in the past?
Honestly, I have been obsessed with the Titanic. I remember I learned about it in like the 3rd grade, and I just became completely obsessed, learned everything about it. But the thing the entire thing is a scary thing. But what would be really scary to me is like the silence.
That would be because they're out in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Like, I'm sure there'd be screaming and stuff, but like...
That would be even more frightening, because they're, like... I mean, it was a movie, yes, the Titanic movie, but I think they did a really good job.
Yeah, that was, like, a very accurate thing, I feel like. I mean, I wasn't there, but...
Right, but with what would have happened, and, like, when you're watching a movie, a lot of times there's background music that's going to... It's meant to tell you how to feel. It's meant to create the tension in your body. It's there to accentuate what you're watching. But when things happen in real life, there is no background music. It's quiet. So just the silence of just the open air in the cold would be frightening.
Yeah, it would.
To just be sitting there listening and then hearing people scream as they jump off the boat, or...
And as the Titanic is literally sinking.
Yeah.
And this was like at 4 a.m., I think.
Yeah, it was also
dark.
night, and it was dark.
Freezing water.
Yeah, so...
Dark water.
Yeah, you don't... Like, not only could there be something in the water that's going to eat you, at that point, that's the least of your concern.
Which is scary.
Right, but it's also scary that's the least of your concern.
Yeah.
Like, you're concerned because you're going to freeze to death, and then something's going to eat you, and then it's no longer a problem.
I've always had a fear of the deep, dark ocean. So there was something I recently learned about the Titanic. when this was all going down, apparently one of the cylinders imploded underwater. Imagine hearing that and feeling that in the water.
Yeah, that'd be a crazy shockwave.
Like, I feel like hearing that would just like, that would definitely spook me a lot. I don't know how much you hear, but you would hear like a, I don't know what to describe it as. I just feel like that's so scary, being 4 a.m., freezing water, deep, dark, middle of nowhere ocean, and then you just looking over to wherever and seeing a giant ship sinking. Like, how frightening would that be? And then to like feel and hear an implosion of the cylinder, or the cylinder engine thing.
And especially since you're not going to know where that's coming from. So then you're going to be like, oh, well, what now? Like, the ship is already sinking. I'm already freezing my ass off in this water. Now what? Like, uh-oh. Like, how can it get any worse?
I would like to see the Titanic underwater, but like that's really far down, and especially what happened last year with the Ocean Gate submersible. There was actually recent news about it.
Oh, there's more news?
Yeah.
I know that was very under code.
What do you mean?
Like, the submersible that they used was not built
very-
correctly.
Yeah.
Oh, they found the rest of it?
Yeah. Now I definitely have some questions about this. Because, like, this is a picture of the ship. And they recently found the back end of it. Now, supposedly, this thing imploded. Mm-hmm. But, like, I don't know. Like, I haven't researched it fully, but I've heard things, like, when they were trying to find it, there was, like, I forget, it was, like, a military, like, ocean people. I don't know if it was the Navy or whatever, but...
Coast Guard?
Maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but they were, like, sending... I don't know what it's called, like, the technical name, but they were trying to pick up sound, and every 30 minutes they'd hear banging, like, in a certain spot. And they thought that was them. But supposedly they imploded on the way down there. Mm-hmm. And they've been searching for nothing for 4 days. Or however long.
Right.
But there keeps being... There's more... Like, there was more news recently that the back end was found. And, like, it's not a very big ship. Or submersible. So, like, if it imploded, I feel like there would not be much left. So I'm not entirely sure how they found, like, the entire back end like that.
Well, the picture probably doesn't show you how big it is, because there was, 4 people in there?
5, I think.
So, no, it's probably not very big, but it's also probably not small.
Yeah.
So, like, think of maybe a minivan. Yeah, like, look at, scroll up. See how tiny that person looks next to it? So that thing's probably like a good 12, 15 feet tall. So maybe more like the size of a minibus.
Yeah.
And then imagine, say there's a bomb in the middle of it on the inside and it explodes. You're going to get two pieces at least.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're going to get a whole lot of shrapnel, but it's going to be in half.
But, like, I'm pretty sure this thing was in 3 pieces. Like, there's the back end, the front end that they originally had found, and then just debris. Mm-hmm. And, like, if they had gone down many times before, why this time?
Well, because the submersible they used wasn't up to code.
Yeah. But, like, they had done it before, so, like, what was different about...
The machine that they were using.
Do you think there was different ones?
Yeah. So this isn't the people that typically go down to look at the Titanic. This was a private company, wasn't it? I thought it was a private, which is why there's no like lawsuits or anything. I mean, there could be, but But that's why they couldn't really do anything about it, because these people signed waivers like it was.
Yeah. These people, I remember that there was like a billionaire and his son. His son didn't really want to go on, but he wanted to please his dad. He went on there. There was 3 passengers that were allowed to go on there, and a technological person and the CEO of OceanGate. So like 5 people in total.
Yeah.
3 like people that could pay to go on it.
So for 5 people to stay underwater for 96 hours, I would not want to be in that tiny space for that long.
Not at all. Oh, that's just how much oxygen it has.
Well, right, but yeah, you want it to be able to last just in case you get stuck. But
Yeah.
I don't think the expedition was meant to last that long.
No.
That's a lot of oxygen. 96 hours for 5 people.
That is a lot.
Shallow breaths, people.
I'm trying to think of another place I'd like to go back in time to see.
What about the future? Would you ever want to go to the future?
No. I don't even want to know.
I don't mean like a future where you would be alive in. I think it would be interesting to observe a future far outside of my reach. You know what I mean? Like,
I guess that makes
something
sense.
like 1 or 2,000 years.
The only reason I wouldn't want to go there, like, however many years in the future, is because, like, thing is, probably not going to like it. It's probably going to have something to do with AI in today's day and age. So, like, I wouldn't want to see that and then fear for that, even if it's not in my lifetime, because then that's going to affect people,
That's true.
like, that I'll, like, my bloodline.
Yeah, and then people who could see the future. So maybe going into the future, even to watch, would probably be a bad thing.
Yeah.
People would try to win the lottery. People would do all sorts of things to try to manipulate their future.
Absolutely. I can't say that I wouldn't.
I know, absolutely. Who wouldn't want to try to win the lottery for themselves to better their life? I mean, that'd be great. What about the Mandela effect?
Oh, you've heard of the Mandela effect.
I have experienced some of them. Before I tell you what I feel about it, what do you feel?
I feel like some of it is just a bunch of like hooey.
Oopla.
Yeah. But there is some of it that I'm like, wait. Like, I don't remember it like being like that. Like, there is some of it that does mess with me a little bit, but then others it's like, are people stupid? Like, how did, like, what? Maybe it's because we've grown up in different, like,
Yes,
generations.
we do. Yes, we do have the age gap, but
The one I seriously hate so much is the Pikachu one. I grew up with Pokemon cards, even the original ones, because of all my aunts and uncles used to have them. Pikachu never had the, like, black end of his tail, or whatever. Like, he had the brown thing, like, close to his body,
Right.
never the black at the end of the tail. I've never seen Pikachu like that.
it
Ever.
looks strange.
Yeah. Like Pichu, like baby Pikachu, he does have that. I have like one of the original holographic ones and he does have that. Pikachu never had that. So I can kind of see where people are like, oh, like Pikachu might have this because Pichu does. But Pikachu actually does not.
So that brings me to my theory about the Mandela effect, especially for the Looney Tunes one. Now, when you're 5 years old, do you think you'd be able to tell me how to spell tune?
No.
So I think what this is our brain when we're young and we're learning how to read and write. We're going to assume that tune is Toon because that's what it sounds like. And because it's a cartoon.
I personally always remembered tones. Like Toon.
Right. But I think that is because, like, I never really thought about it, honestly, until somebody asked me, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. I think I think a lot of what these have to do with is our brain is being lazy. So like, those papers where they're like, you only need the first two and like the last three letters of a word to know what it says.
Yeah.
The rest could be wrong or out of order, upside down, but you'd still know what it said.
Yeah.
It's similar to that. So your brain takes as little information as it can and it makes assumptions for the rest. And especially if it's just a memory. So here, Looney Tunes especially, that happens. You're young, you don't actually know how to spell a lot of stuff. So then when you see it later, you're like, wait, it's what? But the one that messes with me the most is the Fruit of the Loom one.
There was always a cornucopia.
I would put money that there was a cornucopia in that thing.
I remember
Not a plate.
from my... I'm
Oh
pretty
no,
sure
is
it
the
doesn't
plate
even-
one fake too?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the plate one's fake too. I'm pretty sure
I've
it's
never
just
seen that.
I remember that I got a mini Batman comic from my grandma. That was from like Fruit of the Loom underwear when they did promotions and stuff like that. Swear it had a cornucopia. Like every time I've thought of Fruit of the Loom, there's been a cornucopia or thing.
Cornucopia.
Where do people even like obviously apparently it never existed. Where do people come up with that? Because like I have seen that.
Now, this could also relate to when we were children, because a lot of these things that people are looking back at were like the 80s, 90s, early thousands. Like that's where a lot of these brand names and images are coming from. Why does Curious George have a fluffy tail in that one?
That
That's
one's
so
just
strange.
Curious George never had a
No,
tail.
we did, but
I don't understand that one either. Maybe because like I grew up watching Curious George, but he never had a tail
yeah.
to me.
But in elementary school, I remember, especially around Thanksgiving time, cornucopias were a big thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if your generation did that, but we did. We did a lot of
I've seen them though before.
yeah. That's the only reason I know what they're for, or what they. It's the only reason I know that word is because in elementary school we colored and drew a lot of cornucopias for Thanksgiving. I don't think anybody uses those anymore.
No, I've only seen them at flea markets.
I don't think I've ever even seen one in real life. I think I've only ever used it as like a word accentuator. Like there's a cornucopia of them. Like and I've never even seen one. So I wonder if that's where some of that came from. Where
That's possible.
where we're putting like, oh, there's a bunch of fruit there, a bunch of food there. That kind of looks like the Thanksgiving thing that I did in school.
Yeah.
Like it could just be memories getting muddled together and your brain's just like playing Yahtzee going, yep, there you go. That's what you get.
That makes sense.
But
The craziest one to me, C-3PO. The silver
oh
leg.
yeah. When I it blew my mind. Although I will say, in that original movie, when we looked up the scene, it did look copper or gold because it's reflective.
Yeah.
It's silver. So I can
is
see
silver.
I can see where people would just, like I said, their brain gets lazy and they're just assuming the rest of him is the same color.
But you know what's crazy? Is I have a bunch of old Star Wars stuff. I have a C-3PO plush that's metallic and stuff. He's entirely gold.
Ooh, somebody messed up.
It might not look it in the picture. I have this exact one.
Oh yeah, he is all gold.
Gold. Everywhere. Like,
That could be part of why people believe that he is also.
I have never seen a C-3PO toy with a silver leg. I have always seen him as all gold.
I wonder if that was is that the right leg? It was the left one in the other movie, wasn't it?
No, I think we got a shot from behind.
Oh, yeah, I see it now. See, in that picture, if you're not paying attention, like how often do you look?
completely the same.
Yeah, because it's reflective. It's silver. It's going to absorb the color that's next to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a mirror. So then I can totally see where people would just assume that it's not silver.
I still think that is one of the craziest to me.
I remember when we looked at it, I was like, nah. But
then,
I'm also not a huge Star Wars nerd. Like, I've seen the movies, but it's probably been a couple of decades.
It's been a while since I've seen them, but I used to be a huge Star Wars nerd.
I don't mind them, but like at this point, I'm so late in the game, there's no point in trying to join. I would just get confused.
Even the original toy is all gold.
Yeah, so I wonder if that was just like a whoever was creating these toys watched the movie real quick and was like, "Oh, yep, he's all gold. We're good." Because
He does.
He does look very much all gold. The cornucopia one screws me. I don't believe it. Not for a second.
Another one that I hate is the Monopoly Man. I have always seen him with a monocle.
Yes. I always thought he had one too.
But he doesn't. And that's one of those ones that kind of
Hurts
just
your
makes
head.
me mad. Yeah.
I feel like he should.
Yeah. Also, the peanut butter Jiffy was never called Jiffy. It's Jif.
Now, we never used Jif growing up. My mother is a stickler for particular brands. And so we always had Skippy.
Skippy's really good, though.
However, I wonder if people were confusing them, mixing together Skippy and Jif and creating Jiffy, just because they were probably next to each other on a shelf.
Probably.
And then
I don't see them being so far apart.
And then I know they're both peanut butter. And then the jar of Jif, if it's labeled just so, you're only going to see the JIF, and then you can assume that there's an FY on the other side of it. So you're going to call it Jiffy because it's more colloquial. It's easier to say. It's more fun to say, like Jif. It just kind of ends. and especially peanut butter is going to be used for children a lot. So it's like, oh, do you want Jif? You want Jiffy? It's easy. It sounds better.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
The Berenstein Bears one screws with me.
What do you mean?
The
What is that
Berenstein or Berenstain. Where there
It's
has a,
Steen, isn't it?
I think that's how it is. But I thought it had an A.
I always thought it was E. I don't know.
It is E. I think. Now I don't know. I'm not sure which universe I'm living in today.
The Kit Kat one, I always thought there was a dash between Kit and Kat. But, like, the picture someone made of it looks unnatural and
It
not
does.
how I remember.
But it's also because they added it in there.
Yeah.
If there was a hyphen in there, they would have made room for it.
I always thought there was one.
Isn't there a candy that does have a hyphen?
I am not sure. So, there are actually no candies with a hyphen. I looked
Another
it up.
Mandela effect, I guess.
I thought there was one.
I thought
Maybe.
so.
I mean, this candy doesn't exist, but have you ever seen the movie Trick or Treat?
I've heard of it. No, I haven't seen it though.
There's a candy bar in it called Holly Hobar. I think it is. I'm pretty sure I said that right.
I kind of hope you didn't.
And I'm pretty sure it has. Yeah, it does have a hyphen.
But that was long before, or long after, people believed.
When did actually Trick or Treat come out? That's a good movie.
I think it didn't come out that long ago, did it?
I think 2007.
What?
Yeah.
I think I'm in a time warp. 2007? I feel like that wasn't that long ago, but it is.
How long ago was that? Like
I was still in high school.
17 years ago.
Oh man.
That's the only candy bar that I know has a hyphen on it.
Yeah, it's not even real.
Going back to the time travel thing. There was another movie that was really good. I don't think many people know about it. It is considered a time travel movie. It's called Donnie Darko. Have you heard of this?
I have. I can't say that I've actually watched it.
That was definitely a very interesting movie. My friend actually showed me that at like 2 a.m. It was one of those movies that doesn't make sense till the end, and it's like one of those movies that also messes with your brain.
I like those kind of movies. I'm surprised I haven't seen it.
I would definitely check it out.
I'll have to. Maybe we can do a episode on that.
All right. For the third place, I would go. I'm not really sure.
No historical events that you can think of? Maybe, Vesuvius erupting. That would be cool. The fall of Pompeii.
I'm gonna be honest.
That would be terrible. You're killing me. Go back to history.
I definitely do not want to go back to the Nazi era. Like that would be.
You would see a lot of that odd stuff.
Like mess me up.
What about simply just like a way to observe a way of life for a certain year, like a certain period?
How about
like the Victorian era would be weird.
Victorian era would be cool.
Honestly, when I think back to the Victorian era, I feel like it would not smell good at all. Honestly, I feel like people were doing a lot of pooping in the street, and it would just, I feel like it was not a good time.
Honestly, probably the Salem witch trials.
Ooh.
That would be kind of interesting.
It would be interesting to see how they believed some of these people were witches.
Yeah.
Like, they got a mole or a birthmark. Like, how ridiculous. I'd have been set on fire long ago.
Honestly, most of the places that I want to visit probably have something to do with like a killing or a serial killer or something like that. So I could like see what happened and like
solve a mystery.
Yeah, I feel like that would mess me up though.
It would definitely be rough, not being able to interact.
Yeah.
Seeing something like that happening and you're literally powerless.
Like, there was actually a show that recently came out that isn't very accurate to what happened in real life. I haven't seen it, but it's called Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story. Have you heard of the Menendez brothers?
I have not.
So,
surprise.
Their parents, like, sexually abused them and, like, were really bad people. So, one day, they decided to go into the house and shoot them. Like the Menendez brothers did. And they were just going about life or whatever. And Eric confessed to his therapist about them killing their parents. Now, I don't know the entire facts about this, but I would like to learn more. I do feel bad for them, but yeah.
So they were arrested? Or no? I feel like a lot of people would have sympathized with them.
A lot of people do. A lot of people said they should be free since Gypsy Rose is free.
Yeah, I mean, if their parents were really that horrible to them, I wouldn't blame them at all for trying to put a stop to it like that.
Yeah, I honestly feel like they should be free.
But again, I don't know that much about it. This is just hearing those little facts that you just said to me.
They seem like genuinely messed up in the sense of what their parents did to them. Like, they don't seem like if you put them back on the street, they're going to kill again.
No, but I don't know if you'd want to put them in the street, because those terrible things happen to them. They are probably not stable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're traumatized to the point that they felt that they needed to go to the extreme to stop it.
But I feel like instead of keeping them in prison, they should probably try and help them.
Right. Yes.
Like, if they can let Gypsy, like, walk free, they can absolutely let these guys walk.
Interesting.
I also don't think they've seen each other in, like, since it happened.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure they went to different prisons and they haven't seen each other since.
Well, that'll be traumatizing, too.
Yeah. But, Gypsy Rose, like, planned to kill her mother. Like, they just walked in there and they were done getting abused, so they shot them. But I do feel like serial killers do need their own episode. So, how about you join us next time for a killer episode?
And we can discuss more of these reasons and why they're imprisoned and whether or not they should be. Thank you for listening.
I'm Wyatt.
I'm Erica.
This is Tales Untold.